In today's video, I want to run you guys through the reveal of a absolutely enormous new free-to-play game coming to the PlayStation 4, and that is coming from Grinding Gear Games, and they have announced Path of Exile 2, a new 7-act storyline, and we'll go over all of the information about that. Also, the Outer Worlds DLC could be in the works following sales success. It looks like that game has done rather well. Shenmue 3 is due out later this month. It's actually out in just a few days. However, the review embargo lifts on the day of release, and actually overseas, the review embargo is not gonna lift until a few days after the release. We'll talk all about that. And before we get into everything, I just want to remind you guys to make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon so you are always notified of uploads. And that definitely helps out the channel too, so we always appreciate that. First up, Grinding Gear Games has announced Path of Exile 2, a new 7-act storyline that will be available alongside the original Path of Exile campaign, as well lead to the same shared Atlas endgame. A release date was not announced, but Grinding Gear Games said that it is unlikely to start beta until at the very least late 2020. The news was announced at the Path of Exile themed event ExileCon 2019 in Auckland, New Zealand. Grinding Gear Games also announced Path of Exile Conquerors of the Atlas, an expansion that changes Path of Exile's entire endgame, due out on December 13th, so that's out very soon. Path of Exile Metamorph, the next challenge league for Path of Exile in which players can build their own boss, due out alongside Conquerors of the Atlas in December. And then we also have Path of Exile Mobile, an experimental mobile version of Path of Exile described as a complete Path of Exile game experience with no pay-to-win elements. Circling back to Path of Exile 2, there's already an overview of the game on the official website, and it notes Path of Exile 2 is a new 7-act storyline that is available alongside the original Path of Exile 1 campaign. Both the old and new storyline lead to the same shared Atlas endgame. Path of Exile 2 retains all the expansion content that has been created over the last 6 years and introduces a new skill system, ascendancy classes, engine improvements, and more. Since the death of Kitava, society has been slowly rebuilding. Ambitious men rise to fill the void, and their thirst for power is once again corrupting Rayclast. 19 new Ascendancy classes. Path of Exiles 2's characters are a set of new exiles who fall into the same class archetypes as those in the original game. As such, they can pick from a set of 19 new Ascendancy classes that differ from the old ones that are still available in the Path of Exile 1 campaign. You've got a new skill gem system. Path of Exile 2 introduces the next generation of Path of Exile's iconic skill systems. Support gems are now socketed directly into skill gems, removing many of the frustrations present in the old system while maintaining all the previous depth. It's now possible to 6-link every skill your character uses. All new equipment as well. The entire progression of armor and weapons has been redone from start to finish, alongside entirely new character models and animations. All of your old microtransactions are still compatible. And there will be much more. Over the next year, we'll announce a lot more information about the improvements in Path of Exile 2, such as changes to the passive skill tree and other core game systems. Over the years, there have been many changes that we would have loved to make to Path of Exile, but couldn't because they would break existing characters. Path of Exile 2 is an opportunity to make all of these changes in one large update. They round out the post by noting we don't have a release date for Path of Exile 2 yet, but we're unlikely to start a beta until at the very least, a very late 2020. In the meantime, we are continuing to release Path of Exile expansions on our regular 3-month cycles. This content will be available in both the Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2 campaigns. So Path of Exile 2 is introducing a whole new campaign, and it's not going to be out for a little bit, but it's very exciting nonetheless. I think Path of Exile is one of the best free-to-play offerings on the PlayStation 4, and that says quite a bit because the free-to-play offerings on the PS4 have really been expanding at a rapid pace, and you could really see that come into play in 2019. Path of Exile has been a really good one, light on the pay-to-win models. I mean, if you do want to spend money and invest money into the game, you can do so. However, if you want to play the game entirely free-to-play, you can do that as well, and Path of Exile has been heralded as one of those games that really go that side as well. And if you've already been invested into the game, Grinding Gear Games is going to continue to roll out a bunch of new updates, expanding the initial experience, while in very late 2020, you can expect a Path of Exile 2 beta, or at the very least, that's what they're targeting right now. Who knows, at this point, it might be pushed until 2021. It's a long ways away. However, just know that Path of Exile 2 is in the works, and it's going to introduce a new 7-act storyline that will be available alongside the original campaign. Alright, moving on from that, a game that just came out is The Outer Worlds, and it has done rather well. Obsidian's The Outer World has done rather well for itself ever since its October launch, with sales that have exceeded expectations that the developer held prior to launch, which is kind of surprising given that the game was available on Game Pass on both Xbox One and PC, but people are still going out and buying the game. And in an interview with Eurogamer, it is revealed that Obsidian still has the team working on post-launch support and content for the game, despite the fact it has multiple other projects currently in the works. People are obviously obviously loving Outer Worlds, and we made it because we love it, so now we're gonna keep doing things to help support it. A content roadmap for the Outer Worlds was never announced, but it looks like at some point the game could be getting some sort of DLC. Will this be free DLC? Will it be paid DLC? Will it be a mix of both? That's what I would assume. I would assume that it would be a mix of both, and if they want to do some paid expansions, I thought Outer Worlds was a compelling enough game where there are expansions that potentially can be had, and the game was very well received. I think there's a lot of potential in expanding the world of Outer Worlds and adding more content, and hey, if they want to roll out some free little pieces of content as well, that's something that I would be all over. Whatever the case may be, Outer Worlds was one of the standout games of the year. Unfortunately, on the PlayStation 4, and I'll circle back to this over and over again, unlike on PC and Xbox One, they're pretty much playing this game for free, with Xbox Game Pass just being given out to people for like $1 for 3 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. They're throwing in 6 months of Spotify Premium, whatever the case may be. On PlayStation 4, unfortunately, we are left to pay a full $60 for this game, which is a little bit of a bummer. Obviously, it will be seeing discounts during this holiday season, but I mean, initially, as a part of its release, $60, while the guys over on Xbox and PC are playing the game for next to nothing. Whatever the case may be, it was a very good game, and I'm excited to see what Obsidian creates out of the game in the near future. Alright, moving on from that, Shenmue 3 will be out very soon. Specifically, it'll be out on November 19th. It's a game a lot of people are excited for, given that it's been north of a decade, close to 2 decades in the making, given that it's Shenmue, given that Shenmue 1 and 2 were so narrative driven, and we didn't see the conclusion of Shenmue's story. Well, now we know that Shenmue 3 will be dropping on November 19th. However, there's been a little bit of skepticism surrounding the game. Based on what we've seen thus far, I just don't know what to make of it. I don't know if it's gonna be a great game. It is a game that's gonna be mostly reliant on its storytelling. However, that storytelling needs to be incredibly captivating and needs to be incredibly engaging, and I just don't know if Shenmue 3 is gonna offer that. It remains to be seen, and maybe I'm being a little bit too much of a pessimist in regards to this game. I've also been kind of conditioned that way when games do excessive crowdfunding, that sometimes they don't turn out all too well, and Shenmue 3 did have quite a bit of crowdfunding attached to it. Whatever the case may be, it will be dropping on November 19th, and it's the kind of game that I imagine a lot of you guys will want to wait and see the reviews for. However, media that are receiving review codes for the game overseas will be forced to wait until the 21st of November in order to cover the title. That is so strange. Over here in the States, you'll actually be able to publish the reviews on the day of release, but that is just a little bit odd to me, and that's automatically going to be a red flag. Now, I don't necessarily know if that's fair, because they are allowing domestic reviews to be posted day and day, so I don't understand what the logic and the thinking is behind that. If a review is posted day and day with the release of the game, that's not ideal. I would like reviews to come out a day or two ahead of time. However, we've seen that games that have had their reviews posted on the day of release, a lot of them turned out rather well. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order had its reviews posted the day of release, and that game turned out to be really, really good. There's two trains of thoughts with this one. One thought would be you would want to get the reviews out prior to the game actually coming out so people can make their decision on whether or not to buy the game. The other school of thought is to wait until the day of release, because when the reviews are posted, that's just so much additional press for your game, and if you're confident that the game turned out well, people on the day of release are seeing, oh my god, this game is getting a bunch of 9s and 10s all over the place, the reviews are really good, they're gonna be inclined that day to pick up the game. If you're talking about reviews coming out and 9s and 10s are coming out on a Wednesday before a Friday release, yeah, they're gonna be excited for the game. That might enhance their decision on buying the game. However, you lose a little bit of momentum in that 48 hours until the game actually comes out, if you guys understand what I'm saying. That's just talking about reviews. In the case of Shenmue 3, it is a little bit strange, and this is the type of game that I definitely would not buy on day one on launch. Unless you are a gigantic Shenmue fan, I am a little bit skeptical on this title. I'm hoping for the best, given that I was a gigantic fan of Shenmue, but this is one that I could see not doing the best. In the case of the game itself, it's probably going to be a financial success, because a large portion of it was kickstarted, and then you add into the fact that they're getting a significant check from Epic Games to make the game an EGS exclusive on PC. That's probably gonna recoup a lot of the cost for the game, so from that standpoint, it's probably gonna do relatively well commercially and how much revenue it generates, but overall, from a critical standpoint and a quality standpoint, I am a little bit skeptical on it at this point, but I'm hoping for the best. And that's gonna conclude this video. Again, Path of Exile 2 is in the works. This is gonna be a massive free-to-play release. The Outer Worlds DLC could be in the works following sales successes for the game, and Shenmue 3's review, very strange. It's gonna be posted day of release over here domestically, but overseas, you're actually gonna have to wait a little while, and they're not gonna be posted until November 21st. That leads me to be relatively skeptical about the game. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.